And again, I just want to say good morning. I pray that you all are well. I am Sister Angel here at Cathedral Faith Church under the direction of Apostle James Harrison Howell. And I will be here today just to give you a short, quick, and encouraging word. So just go with me for a little bit. I promise you it will not be long. And today what I'm talking about basically is patience in the pandemic. Right now, of course, we are going through a pandemic. And I believe what most people want is for this pandemic to just be over. A lot of us are sick of not being able to fellowship with our friends and families as much as we used to. We're not able to go out to restaurants and just be free, That's what we usually like and what we usually want, is to do what it is we want to do. And right now, everything is so limited. Even restaurants have limited seating. So where you used to be able to have a big gathering and all the tables were packed, now, not so much. Every other table is reserved for no seating. We're also tired of wearing masks. I work in healthcare, so I tend to have to wear masks for every single one of my patients. And that's okay. I don't mind wearing a mask. What gets me about the mask though is when I'm in my truck. So when I'm in my car and I'm going to a store or I'm getting ready just to go visit a friend or wherever, usually a store, whether it's a supermarket or my favorite store, Target, or wherever. When I'm in my car, I don't wear a mask. Usually I'm drinking or I'm talking on the telephone or I'm, whatever it is I'm doing, there's no need for me to have on a mask because nobody else is in the car with me. So whenever I get to my destination, I grab my purse or my wallet, my car keys. Usually I don't grab my phone, but I grab all the other essentials. And I get out of the car, lock the door, and as I'm almost right to the very front steps of whatever store it is I'm going to, I look around and I see all people with masks and I'm like, I don't have my mask on. So then I turn around and I look at my car because I always park pretty far. I don't usually park close. And I have to go back. I know I have to get my mask. I cannot go in the store without my mask. And so, God forbid it starts to rain. Because if it starts to rain, it's already hot. We live in Florida. But if it starts to rain, then I totally contemplate my entire life. And I'm like, is what I needed from the store that important? Because now I'm going to get wet to get the mask. And then I have to go back into the store, so I'm more getting wet. Unless I want to look for my umbrella, which is usually not in the front seat. I'm going to get even more wet looking for that umbrella and then have to be wet going in the store. But I do have my mask on, And so usually it's just not worth it, and I just decide that I'm just not going to get what I'm going to get, and I'm going to go back home. And that's just the truth. Also in this pandemic, people have been looking for someone to blame. Pharmaceutical companies? Is it President Trump the reason? We have so many cases here in America. Is it China's fault? And everybody wants someone to blame. And I've heard some people through social media platforms say, oh, it's the devil. And I just don't believe that. I don't believe it's any of their faults. What I believe, and I believe I have proof for my belief, is that this was divinely orchestrated by God. Why I believe that, again, I believe I have proof. Because if you just look throughout the Bible and just history, who else has been able to shut a whole world down? Name one. The only one I know of is God. So when you look in Genesis alone, you have two things that say God is the one who has the power to do this. First, you have the flood. God told Noah it was going to rain, build a boat. The flood is coming. It's going to kill almost everybody except for you and your family. It happened. Then if you go a little further in Genesis, you have Sodom and Gomorrah. He destroyed those cities, Sodom and Gomorrah, and a few others with it. He destroyed them with burning sulfur and fire. So I believe if God can touch the earth then, why not touch it now? What's so different from then to today, from 2020? Not much. We're still pretty sinful. We still don't really see God as who He really is. We don't give our lives to Him and live righteous and live holy. Some, not all of us, some. And why wouldn't He do it? Why would He not do it? And so, again, that's my proof. But there are other verses all throughout the Bible and the scriptures that basically say God shuts up the heavens so that there's no rainfall, so that the ground will be dry and no fruit will be produced. He creates lightning, he creates storms, and just so forth. If you will, grab your Bibles or your smartphones, go with me to Proverbs 30:4. It says, "Who has ascended into heaven and descended? Who has gathered the winds in his fist? Who has wrapped the waters in his garment? Who has established all the ends of the earth? What is his name and his son's name? Surely you know." I don't know another God that has his own name and that also has a son except the Lord and Jesus Christ. So I just want to encourage you today that God is in control. I prefer him to be in control because usually when I try to take control, it's a mess, it never goes right. When he's in control, it doesn't look like what I expected, but it's usually for my benefit, and it goes a lot better than anything I could have ever planned. But I just want you to know that God has established all the ends of the earth, and he has established this pandemic for his purpose and for his glory, of which I do not know his purpose and his glory for this moment. I'm not going to try to know the mind of God because it says in the Bible we don't know the mind of God. But I do know that he is in this pandemic. So while we've been going through this pandemic, there's a few questions that I have started to ask. At first, I was just like, get it together. This is time for you to get yourself together, to recreate, to do all the things you wanted to do, bring all your desires forth. That was my mindset at first. And then, as I realized I couldn't do it, unfortunately, this is what we do. We use God as the back burner. He's the next step when we can't do it. And I'm guilty of that. We're all guilty of it sometimes. But I started to ask these questions. First question was, what am I supposed to be doing? My next question was, God, what is your next thing for me? And then my third question has been, what is my purpose during this time? And is it still the same as it was before this pandemic? And as you know, God doesn't always answer quickly. In this season, I must say some of my prayers, a lot of things that I've prayed about, he has answered quickly because that's what he's doing in this season. But he has still kind of made me wait on some things, and I'm okay with that. And so for those questions, he didn't really answer them right away, but instead he started to show me patterns, and it was patterns through what was going on with the pandemic. And so the first thing that started happening with the pandemic was, for 2 weeks, the schools had to close. Cases still rose. Then there was being 6 feet apart and social distancing. Cases still rose. Then we had the stay-at-home, stay-safe mandate. Cases still rose. Then we had the nighttime curfews. Cases still rose. Then businesses and restaurants, some of them closed completely, some of them just closed early, but nevertheless, the cases still rose. Then they opened things back up and mandated that we wear masks, and honestly, the cases have skyrocketed since then. And it just seems that nothing anyone could do, anyone could recommend, anything that could be enforced, no amount of time that was given, nothing was changing the trajectory of the number of cases that were rising. And in all of that, God was showing me, and I'm still learning, of course, that in this pandemic, what I need to learn is patience. And that's very true because as you see, things still haven't recovered. We still don't know how long this is going to be before it is over, before things get worse. But what I can tell you is that you're going to need patience to get through this. And if patience is not what you're learning in this season, I don't know what will teach you patience. So let's look at patience. What is patience? The meaning of patience, defined by Webster, is to have the capacity to accept and tolerate delay, troubles, or suffering without getting angry or upset. Based off of that, who can say that they are patient? I know I can't, because especially when I'm in a hurry, when I'm driving, I don't have road rage, but when I'm driving, I need to get there. And if somebody's in the fast lane going 40, I know the interstate says that's the minimum speed limit, but not in that lane. Get in another lane. But when I'm in a hurry, I can't say that I am impatient. I can honestly say I'm more so impatient. And I'm sure most of you can relate to that. Let's look at some other synonyms, because to really grasp what patience was, I had to look at other words that meant patience, or that said this is a part of patience. So the word forbearance is a synonym for patience. Tolerance, restraint, composure, understanding, serenity, and perseverance. All those words stuck out more to me than any other like words. And basically what I did was I took all those words, I looked at what they look like, what they mean to me, and I basically did a mathematical equation for them, and I summed them all up together, and what their total summation equaled and what it literally meant was self-control. And when I started to think about self-control, I was like, okay, God, self-control, got it. That's a fruit of the Spirit. So is patience. And what God started to reveal to me and show me is basically that the two are tied together. They're not separate, because patience produces self-control. And I had never looked at it that way. And I mean, it was just like an aha moment when I finally got it. And that brings me to my scripture for today. I apologize, I'm just now getting to it, but my scripture for today is coming from Romans 5:4. Very short verse, but it was so significant for me right now. I'm reading from the New Century Version. The King James Version is similar, and almost every other version is similar. The words just change a little bit. But from the New Century Version, it says, and patience produces character, and character, hope. King James says, and patience, experience, and experience, hope. So, if patience produces character and self-control is a fruit of the Spirit, and if you're a child of the God, you should produce those fruits, which means you should have self-control, which means your character should be one of self-control. So it was just, for me at that moment, it was like, God, I need self-control just to be patient. So what I really need to be working on is self-control right now so that I can get some patience, right? That's pretty much what I came to. And then that made me think about so many other things. Like right now, the world, everything is so convenient. Like we really don't have to do much because somebody's always there to do it for us for a small convenience fee. Just think about it. You can order your groceries online, your laundry can be done. Someone will literally go shopping for you, take it to your house, put it in your refrigerator, and by the time you get off of work and doing all of that, your delivery guy for your pizza will be coming with your dinner. So it's just, everything is so convenient. You can order pre-prepared meals. You can shop online. You go get your car service for an oil change. There's one person who says 5-minute service. There's another person who says quicker service. And I mean, everything is so convenient for us right now. So convenient. And it does cost a small convenience fee. So it's either, do you want the convenience for the small convenience fee, or do you want to do it yourself? But because of all of this, because of all this convenience, this fast lifestyle that we've adopted, you'd think we'd be more relaxed and less stressed. But in actuality, we have more stress, we lack sleep, rest, energy, and pretty much anything that we need to get done, anything that's important and that's vital for life, we lack the energy to do it, like self-care and healthy living and family time. And when I really thought about this, again, I mean, I've been doing a lot of thinking during this time, and I was like, if everything's so convenient, God, then why do we still feel like we don't have enough hours in the day to get it all done? Like, why am I so tired at the end of the day when all I did was pay a few bills online and order a few things? Why? And that furthermore made me think about, I'm not speaking for you, but I'm speaking for me. But sometimes because I can get everything so easily and so quickly, and you know, the response is so quick, that sometimes when I pray to God, I expect Him to respond quickly and conveniently too, when I want Him to. And in doing that, you know, we really have to think about like what it is we're really asking for, what it is we're really seeking from God. He's not that kind of God. He will answer quickly when He wants to, but He's not on our time, we're on His time. And we just have the audacity sometimes to just rush our prayers, rush our time, rush our devotion with Him. You know, we expect Him to dwell with us when we do that and answer our prayers in minutes. Every time, too. But God is like, no, it's my time, not yours. And when you really, really think about that thing, I mean, really, really think about it, when everything is well, you don't give him as much time. But when that light affliction comes, like the apostle says, oh, we give God a lot of time. We find every kind of time to talk to him, to pray to him, to read books. For those who don't read their Bibles, normally they pick that Bible up. You call your family and your friends to pray with you. I mean, you're looking for encouragement and prayers of others. You're basically looking for everything that you can that you think is going to help you through that affliction. God is no longer the second denominator. You know, he's not who you're going to run to next. He's actually the first person you're going to go to. You prioritize him whenever you have an affliction. And it shouldn't be that way. We should always give him the time he is due. We should always stop rushing to spend some time with him. I mean, he doesn't say it has to be an hour or 2 hours and you have to be on your knees and lay prostrate for, forever and fast all day, every day. That's not what he's asking for. He's just asking that you prioritize him, that you wait on him to give you what you need before your faith starts to waver and you start believing that he's not who he said he was. And so we have to do better with that. We have to do better with that. And I believe that right now, what God has done is basically carved out 6 months of time for us, and probably more because we don't know when all of this is going to be over. But he's given us this time right now to convict us and to basically get us in alignment with him. He stopped everything and so many things just so we can learn some patience and learn to wait on him. To teach us basically how to wait patiently with grace and with intention, and most importantly, how to wait with purpose. It's not easy waiting. I already know that. I know I don't like to wait. I usually like what I want, when I want it. But I can say that right now, what God is teaching me is that is not what I'm doing. I'm not giving you everything you want right now because you don't need it right now. What you need is to learn patience, because the process I have you in, where you're going, you're going to need it. You're going to need it. And so we've allowed all our conveniences, basically, and all the things that we're accustomed to, they're hurting us, some of those things. And for some of us, those conveniences are literally killing us. And so this is the time right now to make time for the important things in our lives, for things that matter, like health and family and rest and prayer and healing, whether that be mentally, spiritually, physically, emotionally, and for some deliverance. It's time for silencing the noise of the busy day-to-day. It's time to shut off your phones. It's time to get off those social media platforms. It's time to stop watching those messy TV shows that don't edify God, but yet still infiltrate you with more mess, because you're already messy. But now you're just getting messier. There's a guy who I follow on Instagram, and that thought just brought me to him. This is not in my notes. But he's a guy who acts as a woman sometimes, and basically his mom, he plays his mom and he plays himself. And so his mom always says, well, I'm 50% Christian. And that, it's funny when I hear him say it, but when I really think about what's going on right now, people aren't going to church, people aren't logging in online to see their church's online services or any kind of service, period, for that matter. And it's like your Christian enrollment is just basically going down. It went from 100% Christian to 75% Christian, now to 50% Christian, 50% Christian, and that is not okay. It's not okay. That shouldn't be wavering. Your faith shouldn't be wavering. Your holiness shouldn't be wavering. Your righteousness shouldn't be wavering. Like, nothing in you should be going down just because we're not having church. That says a lot about your own personal relationship with God. And so you've got to get that right. And right now, God has made that time for you to do that. In this season, It's also little to no distractions. God created it that way. The distractions are the distractions that you create, not from your job, because most people aren't working, not from your kids' school. I mean, kids are back in school, but a lot of them are doing virtual school. Not from your friends, because a lot of you aren't going out anymore. So it's little to no distractions. He's giving you nothing but time in this season for the things of Him. He's teaching us to be patient with the process that He has for us. And God isn't teaching us patience because He needs to learn patience. He's teaching us patience because we need to learn patience. He's already perfectly patient. I mean, He's only been waiting us since the beginning of time, since He created the earth. And we still don't know what we're doing. We still don't have a right relationship with Him. We're still lacking. And so he needs us to get it. He needs us to get that we need to have some patience. We need to set out time to rest. We need to set out time to listen and hear the voice of God. So in my closing, what I want to be very clear is why God is building our patience in this season. God isn't building our patience in this season again because He needs to be patient, but because we need to be patient. And also because there's protection in His patience. He's also building our patience in this season because there's provision in patience. Provisions you never could have had if you did not have patience and were not patient. And most importantly, God is building our patience in this season because after this, when it's all said and done, when there's no more enforcements, no more masks, no more social distancing, when all of this is over, your patience that you've built up in this resting season, this season of rest, that patience that has been built up will be the foundation to what you will have to use to press and persevere your way through the next season.